Hi, this is Jonathan Rosenher, the Jewish psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post, Lecha, we're going to look at the mitzvah of Bris Milah. And if we look at it from a purely physical on face value, it's a procedure that is performed to a baby boy. If we look at the understanding of it being a physical procedure on the human body in a particular area, which obviously has a significance in terms of what it stands for, in terms of the identity and the behavior and the psychological makeup of a person. The Bris Milah is performed in an area which, if we look at it from a psychological perspective of the human body, ties in with Freud's psychosexual understanding and theory of the human being. That he at least understood, at least originally, the beginnings of psychodynamic and psychoanalytical understanding is that Freud viewed the person, a human being, as being made up of, or being influenced and directed by the pleasure principle. The pleasure principle of that a person is driven by urges and desires and seeks in his life instant gratification. Now, Freud focused largely and primarily at the beginning, you could say, in terms of the sexual drives and the human body, which would lead a person to come up with a very spurious claim to say that the human body is just for pleasure. The human creation and makeup is just for pleasure, and how that is manifest in all different directions, in all different avenues of one's life. There's an idea in terms of Freud that a person is driven in order to have pleasure, in order to have instant gratification. And what we see from Bris Milah, certainly if we delve into just looking at the mafarshim, just looking at the understanding of what Bris Milah stands for, it's to avoid this kind of false understanding of what the human body is and a false understanding of what creation is. So it's significant for sure that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave or created the connection between the Jewish people, between Bnei Yisrael and the Torah and the mitzvahs and the relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu through the mitzvah of Bris Milah, through the human body, through focusing on this part of the human body of a human baby, a human baby boy, is that the Bris Milah elevates and enhances. It's not just a pleasure principle of the id, of a psychoanalytical understanding that the human body and creation is just for pleasure and for satisfying urges and desires. Bris Milah understands that the human body and the creation and the link between physicality, spirituality, of the human psyche, of the psychological and emotional makeup of the human body, it all goes together in this package of trying to refine, trying to enhance, trying to bring beauty to one's life. So this is what we can see in terms of, first of all, the mitzvah of Bris Milah. And the Beis Halevi also, you could say, develops this idea to understand that the actual performance of the mitzvah is split up into two parts. There's the chaticha and there's the priya, which the Beis Halevi understands as being two different aspects of the Bris Milah, which one focuses on in terms of removing aspects that is maybe could be seen as a mum, as a blemish, as something which is not holy, something which, by doing the chaticha of the Bris Milah, creates a distinction that the Jewish person, the Jewish body, the Jewish creation, with a neshama and what it means to have a neshama and a body and a fusion together. The chaticha aspect of the Bris Milah, according to the Beis Halevi, is the first aspect of creating something which is distinct and different and separate. And then the priya aspect of the Bris Milah is what is the kedusha, is the elevation, it's the drive to bring spirituality and a religious focus of kedusha into one's life. So we see here from the Beis Halevi there's also understanding just the dynamics and the way that the Bris Milah, the performance of the Bris Milah is split up. It's trying to avoid this false understanding, you could say, the spurious claim of Freud to understand that life is all about just physicality and urges and desires. Rather, we understand that Bris Milah is already to infuse within our life an understanding of kedusha, of elevation, of a focus of having goals and values to our life, which is even, you could see within the way that the Bris Milah of the actual performance is broken up. Moreover, in terms of what we said, that it's about bringing beauty into one's life, not just physicality, but beauty. Beauty in the way that we perform mitzvahs, beauty in the way that we look at our life, beauty in the way that we conduct ourselves, beauty in the way that we see our relationships with our fellow man and with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is all how what Hashem has, you could say, instilled into our life and is inculcated into the mitzvah of Bris Milah, that even the Bris Milah, which is physical in its essence, has an aspect of beauty, of Hiddur Mitzvah. The Gemara in Shabbos discusses the idea of how Hiddur Mitzvah is part of the process of Bris Milah, how there is a way of performing the Bris Milah into that it can be done to its optimal, you could say aesthetically, into its optimal value of a beautiful mitzvah. Just like there is lulav, a lulav can be beautiful, an Esther can be beautiful, a Sefer Torah can be beautiful, so to a Hiddur Mitzvah applies. We can see this, the way that Rashi and Tosfos discuss in Gemara and Shabbos, the performance of Bris Milah is a beautiful mitzvah in itself. Bris Milah in itself is beautiful. Why? Because it's not just physical, it's elevating the physical to make it spiritual, to make it religious, to imbue within us the understanding that we have a life and how we conduct ourselves, and the connection between our physical body, biological, you could say, tendencies and urges, our spiritual, emotional, psychological makeup all goes together and creates this beautiful and spiritual and holistic understanding and makeup of our life. And that is what Bris Milah stands for. That is what is our psychological, psychosexual, religious, spiritual development of a human being, and it all starts with the Bris Milah. So therefore, if we look at this mitzvah, and we look at the mafarshim, and we look at the psychological theories, we can put it all together to really understand how unique, how special, significant, and beautiful the mitzvah of Bris Milah is. Have a good Shabbos, and keep well.